So a good example of this is like Neil deGrasse Tyson with astrophysics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he like takes a very complicated, like big five head fucking concept that's like fucking space and galaxies and shit, but he explains it in a way that is really accessible to people, and people are like, whoa, that's like really interesting. And the first person really to bridge that gap on Twitch was actually another streamer named Jerry from Chess Network.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he started around the same time that you did. But he didn't run streams as consistently and didn't pick up through 2019. Or I think that he might have reached the same and still has the potential to reach the same place, because I think if you watched the first video that I did on chess, right? The thing that makes the chess category so interesting is like the chess category was built for you to come in and dominate it. Because the number of active broadcasters who were authorities in the category was so low, but the interest is so high.
Yeah, they were doing a documentary. What happened is they basically leaked the person's screen, and so because they leaked the screen, you could see certain moves being played, and you do a lot of preparation in advance of the of these matches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, 1 second. And so because you do like as a professional, all the preparation is done in the opening stage of the game. What happens is that basically that's your preparation. You're getting ready and you prepare for all of your opponent's starting moves. Like let's just say the first 20 moves of the game, someone might play like one of 6 different setups. Now, normally a game doesn't get that deep, but because of computers and technology, the precision and just the amount of accurate moves at the start of the game makes it very hard to get an advantage because everybody has access to the same technology. So when you have an idea for one specific opponent or one specific game, it basically is only good for that game. You try to use it, and then you have to move on to something completely different after that. So if you accidentally if you kind of make a mistake and it gets shown, that idea is gone forever. It will never work in a game because your opponent will be able to just plug it into a computer, and in literally like 5 to 10 minutes, they'll have the solution.
So you started really, really young in learning this, right? And you're I believe one of the youngest, if not the youngest, grandmasters ever in American history, right?
Yeah, so basically, I started playing chess at the age of 7, which sounds really young. By today's standards, that's actually quite old. For if you look at the prodigies, people who have become very good at chess, because now with technology, kids can get on an iPad or a phone at like 3 or 4, and they learn a lot quicker. But I started at 7, and at the age of 15, I did become the youngest American grandmaster in history. I broke Bobby Fischer's record. Since then, I think there are 2 or 3 who have since broken my record, but still one of the youngest.
How this is kind of like it's kind of like a weird question to ask, but like, how could you have possibly like done that at such a young age? Like, what do you think got you there? How did you develop that passion so quickly, and like what happened?
So I mean, there are many things. I think the first thing is I'm very lucky that I come from a chess family. So my mother and my stepfather, they met through chess because my older brother was playing competitively. He was playing the major competitions for his age group when he was quite young and winning most of them. So because of that, my mom met my stepfather, who was coaching. He coaches at a school called Hunter Elementary in New York City. It's a very prominent. I think it's a public school, but you have to test into it. Anyway, they've been one of the most successful chess programs for scholastic chess in the last, I would say, 40 years. And so through chess, my mom met my stepfather, who was a coach, and my brother was also playing. So we ended up going to a lot of chess competitions when I was growing up. And because they were competing, I was just around the game so much that I got really interested. And so I think it was the main reason is just being around the game a lot at a very young age.
I see. Huh. Have you read? I have to ask you. Have you read The Art of Learning?
No, I have not.
The book. Okay, this is a book by Josh Waitzkin.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why that sounded vaguely familiar. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so this is a book that takes chess and it builds a system around it to teach learning. Mm-hmm. And I've always thought of chess. I played chess at a really young age, not anywhere near professionally, but my dad and I would play chess for hours and hours and hours as a thinking exercise. to be able to like sit and think about decisions and decision making. And then I read The Art of Learning years later, and it was a kind of like compendium on how chess can be used as a learning system to apply to almost anything.
It makes sense. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
there are a lot of benefits. I don't know like of a specific system since I haven't read the book, but I know a lot of instructors, people who are trying to promote the game of chess for children. Certainly, the decision making process, trying to think about the moves and make the best move, and trying to apply that to other areas of life, certainly is something that is definitely relevant.
Yeah, there's so many interesting things that interesting studies and like thought exercise things we learn about humanity that come out of chess, right? Another one is that there was a study done on, you might know the specific people. There were, I think, 3 daughters who all grew up within a chess family, and they all got to significant levels of mastery, and they were deliberately taught by their parents.
Yeah, you're referring to the Polgar sisters specifically.
Yes, I am. Yeah. And so this was used in a book called The Talent Code to exemplify how skills can be learned, and it's not like a genetic or like inherited thing. Yeah, and so that's another really interesting application of chess in the real world, right? Is that like in esports, I had a really controversial opinion that I don't think that gaming skill is something that comes from like I don't know, the divine. Like I think it's something that anybody can develop.
Of course not. I mean, wait, are you saying that that's controversial?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I got a ton of shit for this because it was like an ESPN interview, and like I got a ton of shit for this. Like people were like, because I basically said there's no such thing as talent. And that to me, I mean that's based on some of the not only what I've seen in esports, just at a very high competitive level of like what people are doing, but also a lot of the stuff that I've read, like the talent code.
Okay,
and maybe in chess that comes naturally to you, like that.
Well, I mean, what I would say in chess is it's actually, I think there is some inherent like natural ability you have to have for the game to become the absolute best. But I think becoming, say, a grandmaster in the game of chess, if you dedicate enough time from a young age, and by young I mean as a child, like if your parents teach you the game and you just stick with it, I don't think there's anything inherent that's going to make someone a grandmaster and someone else not a grandmaster. It's a matter of putting in the hard work and doing it. But it's not because I'm from this background or I'm Asian or other sort of things. It's just you put in the hard work.
Yeah, I think that is a controversial opinion. I think that a lot of people think that there is some kind of like inborn natural talent that drives people to be better at gaming or better at chess or things like that.
I mean, I guess what I would say is I think it does. I think like if you're talking about the absolute best, like that top 0.001%, there probably are certain things like in like the workability or like studying various things that make a difference. But I think in general terms that I've never prescribed to believing that certain people are just better than others. I think it's just a matter of when you of how much work you put in. So it's interesting you say that because I literally assumed that was just normal, but maybe I guess it's not.
Yeah, there's an idea that's presented by is it Malcolm Gladwell with the 10,000 hours?
Yes.
Yeah. So that idea is basically that we spend 10,000 hours to get to some level of mastery on something, and particularly a lot of people know that cliche, but what they don't realize is that most of that time is actually on the upper curve. So when you start your 10,000 hours, the first 1 or 2,000 are going to be where you gain most of your skill. At that point, most like laymen's can't differentiate you between a master and a grandmaster. Right. Some people think I'm really I do a lot of competitive dancing, and some people think that I'm like really good at it. They watch like my YouTube videos and they're like, oh my god, and then I know that I'm an utter amateur compared to like the Jabberwockies, right? There's that level of mastery. Once you get up to that like 80 percentile, you just and it's like chess, but that's hidden from people that don't already have an inherent understanding of the thing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's the exact same way in chess. Yeah.
Interesting, huh? Yeah. Huh. So you've been in it at such a young age, but you still stayed passionate all the way through, and like even now, like you seem really confident that like this is your shit, this is your deal. Like what is it? What drives that passion for chess and like what you've been doing, especially lately? And I've done a lot of research, Hikaru, that hopefully I can show you some exciting stuff about your channel and about the world on Twitch. That I know you watch the video too, so I had to do even more because you watched the video, and I had to step up on that. So
Right.
hopefully, yeah,
Yeah,
But I'm very curious what drives that passion. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's for me, in general, playing the game of chess, it's given me a lot in life. It's become a career for me. So first of all, making a living from playing a game has been fascinating. I've really enjoyed it. But beyond that, it's sort of one thing that I've always loved about chess, and this again sort of comes back to that point you were making before about like the talent or whether it's inherent, is that in the game of chess, it's about decision making, trying to make the best move. And so I've competed a lot. I've gone to travel all over the world, and I've met so many different people from all sorts of different backgrounds who are good at the game of chess or just fans, whatever capacity it's in. And so getting to meet all these people who love this game, whether it's like in a place like Cote d'Ivoire in Africa where I was last year, or a place like Russia, it really doesn't matter. But the fact that I get to travel and meet all these people and see that the game, it excites them, that they love watching the game. For me, I think more than actually winning competitions, that's always been one of the things that I've enjoyed the most, is just meeting all these people, seeing that they love this game that I happen to be very good at. And so all these things, traveling, making a living, for me, I'm just very grateful that I've had the opportunity. And I feel like in a way, when it comes to something like Twitch, I really like having that opportunity to give back to all these people because the game has given me so much.
has your life changed significantly now that you've made the commitment to become a full-time, I hate to use the word influencer, I just don't have a better word?
Yeah, so I mean, I think not really. One thing that's very weird is like last year, for example, I spent approximately, I want to say 230 days on the road. So that means
Jesus.
literally playing in international competitions or on airplanes, whatever it was. There were like 3 or 4 times last year when I was traveling for a month and a half nonstop, on different continents as well. So the one thing that has changed for sure before I like talk about Twitch specifically is just the routine of competing in international tournaments has gone out the window with COVID. I have not played a tournament over the board since I think December of last year. So just the whole routine of being at home and not traveling, for me, it feels a lot different. But now that it's been about, I would say, 3 months or thereabouts since I started streaming every day, I've gotten used to it. And I'm actually not sure how I'm going to feel once things get back to normal, because I really used to love traveling all the time. And now it's like I'm at home and I kind of enjoy just being at home. So I would say not a lot has changed fundamentally for me, other than just like being in a different location versus being at home all the time.
Traveling takes a lot out of you, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it really does.
It's funny, and this also, by the way, this I think is why, like, when you look at something like chess, the reason that people get really reason that the top players start really young and they keep improving and eventually reach the top levels is because when you're young and you're traveling, it's a lot of fun. Like when I was 10 or 11, I was playing these tournaments in Paris, or like in Barcelona, and when you're traveling, it's fun and you're playing a game and it's just the whole environment is different. Whereas when you're a little bit older, then the sort of real world thoughts come into mind, like making a living, paying for everything, all these sorts of everyday issues that we have as adults. So
yeah,
when I was young and traveling, I enjoyed it. But nowadays, honestly, there are certain new locations where chess competitions are held that I enjoy, but for the most part, they're in the same places. So it's sort of, for me, it's like I go and then I play the event and then I come home. And so traveling, it has started to wear on me after all these years as well.
Yeah, dude, I feel that super hard. And like 2017 and 18, I went to about so I traveled about like 30 to 40 weeks of the year. I was at about 50 conventions.
Wow.
And this is just the gaming conventions, E3, PAX, right? Like all that stuff. And you're just making the rounds, and it's that exact same feeling. At first, when you're really young and like when you're in it, you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to go. And now you're in Texas for like the 6th time. It's like you're staying up like 2 straight days because you have so much meetings you have to do and everything. And it's like, all right, I'm good. And I still haven't recovered from that. Like I'm still, I still haven't traveled a great deal since that time because of that stress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the older you get, the worse it is.
Right. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. Yeah.
yeah. It never gets better.
Yeah.
It's like the energetic drain gets and you start to notice it. It's interesting. Like you've done you've done something on Twitch that no one has ever done in the history of the site. In the sense that you've become so there's like there's a couple of ways to contextualize this. I think probably the most productive is to look at it on scale. So there's 3 million monthly active broadcasters on the site, right?
Mm-hmm.
So out of those, there's 40,000 partners, and out of those partners, there's about 5,000 to 7,000 that are active. A lot of those are inactive accounts because they are like no. Once you're a partner, it's just like you're in the club and you have like a lifetime membership. It's like you never leave, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and so like a lot of those people are AFK or like they stream once every few months or whatever. And so so now we're already like into like a 0.001% out of those people. If you have over 400 concurrent viewers, you're already in the top 1% of Twitch. If you have over 768, I think, in 2019, you're already in the 0.01%.
Okay.
So you in 2019, you actually stream pretty consistently, which is interesting with your travel schedule.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's like
it seems hard.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like for me, I streamed. I think I don't remember exactly when I started. I'm sure I could go dig way back into the archives. But basically, when I started out, it was more sort of a thing that I was doing for fun, just here and there. There were not many people who watched my channel. It's just one of those things, like just bring chess to some people here and there. But I think in 2018, there was a specific event that happened. So I think you didn't mention the event specifically necessarily when you did your video. But I think it was in November of 2018, there was a World Chess Championship match. And for that match, the chess.com channel, I think the max viewers they had was something like 70,000-ish around there. So it was around this period before, I want to say it was like October, that I decided, you know what, I have some free time. I really want to try and bring chess to people who perhaps aren't familiar with it, but also people who really do like high level chess at the same time. So I just figured I would try to stream. And around that time in October and November, I started getting a lot more people, I think, started watching my channel. I think maybe before that was a couple hundred. And I think I was somewhere maybe like 1,000, maybe 1,500 in around then. And I started getting a lot more followers as well. So because of that, having that event occur and then seeing all the people who were following chess in 2019, when I had more time, I mean the limited time I had, but when I had the chance, I did stream more, also because I found that streaming chess during some of the competitions did not actually affect me. So I think it was April of 2019, there was this tournament called the United States Chess Championship. It features the 12 best players in America. And I played this event, and I actually won the event. But besides winning the event, I was streaming for like an hour or 2 hours every night, going over my games for the fans. And the fact that I was able to do that and still compete and do very well and win the event really made me believe in the possibility of streaming beyond just something that I would do casually. And then, of course, I kept streaming throughout the year. And then this year in March, I basically started streaming and just haven't stopped.
So you, the earliest I could tell that you started broadcasting was July 14th, 2017.
Okay,
and
sounds about right.
on that initial date, there was a post that went up that said GMHikaru is going to be streaming on Twitch by someone, and then that, and it's really interesting to look at your stats on that first day because you had about 100 people that initially came in as a result of that post, and then it climbed up to about 900. So I guess I could say this in a more dramatic way. The very first stream you ever did on Twitch, you were in the top 0.01%, and you never declined from there. You only went up.
Huh. Okay, that's interesting.
You've never had a stream where that was not true. And then what you're referring to in October and November, so that actually was the first time you were ever consistent. So you had streams, and if I don't know if you're looking at or actually I could just link it.
It's okay. I can actually, it's Twitch tracker,
visualize
right?
It. Yeah. I'm just looking at twitchtracker.com/GMHikaru/streams.
Okay.
And I'm looking at like
I'll adjust it. Yeah, that's fine.
So in October 2018, you start streaming consistently. Through 2019, despite having a really crazy competitive schedule, you actually stream really consistently. And this is this kind of transitions into like, I'm always looking for something in the themes of like the analysis, like what's most interesting. And to me, what is most interesting is the rare occasions that you get someone that takes something that isn't cool or people don't perceive as cool, and then they explain why it's cool. So a good example of this is like Neil deGrasse Tyson with astrophysics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he like takes a very complicated, like big five head fucking concept that's like fucking space and galaxies and shit, but he explains it in a way that is really accessible to people, and people are like, whoa, that's like really interesting. And the first person really to bridge that gap on Twitch was actually another streamer named Jerry from Chess Network.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he started around the same time that you did. But he didn't run streams as consistently and didn't pick up through 2019. Or I think that he might have reached the same and still has the potential to reach the same place, because I think if you watched the first video that I did on chess, right? The thing that makes the chess category so interesting is like the chess category was built for you to come in and dominate it. Because the number of active broadcasters who were authorities in the category was so low, but the interest is so high.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, I think, I mean, like, also just going off topic very briefly, but I think one of the things with chess that's much different than a lot of other games is that I don't know the stats on this specifically, but I know that more people, I think, have been exposed to chess when they were children than almost any other game in the world, probably. Like maybe there's stuff like soccer, like major sports, but when you look at actual like games, board games, or like shooter games or video games, I should say, I think that more people as kids have played it with their parents, or they saw it in school, than almost anything else. So I think there's always going to be more people who have kind of, they're going to be a lot of people who saw chess or played it and then they forgot about it, and many years later they remember because they see someone doing it. So I think that's one thing that's very unique about chess.
Yeah, it's almost the way I think of it is it's almost like a universal language, in the sense that it's like not that dramatic, but in the sense that like and Twitch is a perfect example of that, right? Like you've been able to involve people like everyone from XQC to Ludwig to freaking like all these like broadcasters who can all come together on this, because they all have this like sort of it's like a communication. I don't know how to describe it well. It's like a way to communicate like if you had a person that's like an expert in Fortnite, right? They couldn't like show everyone in the same way that you can show chess like Fortnite. It's just not as accessible.
Right.
And
yeah, this is very true. Yeah.
And I think that's also built up by things like chess.com that make it totally free. Like, here you go, you're in a game in seconds, right? And you're just that ease of use of that like multiplayer accessibility.
Right.
Yeah, with no barrier of entry, really, except knowing the game.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I mean, as long as you know how to play the moves, there are several chess sites you can go on, and you can just get a game instantly. It's not something where there is no barrier. That's true.
So I look at like chess in 2018. It's really really crazy. There's a book that I just read called was it Outliers? I think it was Outliers. And the book is about explaining how a lot of the people that became unbelievably successful, they did have the skill and they did have the devotion and the hard work, but they were also just like in an incredible time to do it. And like they use an example like Bill Gates, where like Bill Gates was one of the only people who had access to a computer that was able to code and program. He was one of the first people at his school to be able to do this, and he spent hours and hours, and he just tunneled. And in the same way, if you take the stats of the chess category, and what I'm looking at right now is the chess category in 2018.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I have like which corresponds directly to when you started streaming consistently, right? I have never, and I like, it's my fucking deal to like look at Twitch and YouTube stats. Like that's all I do, right? Like on the agency side, we have a whole analyst team that does it, and like when I look at chess, I've never seen a category behave in this way. So like in 2018. You literally have 16 channels on average, which is nothing that are streaming it, right? That's no one. But you have 1.5 thousand average viewers and about 100 people per channel, which means that if you start up a chess stream, you can expect to have 100 viewers. That's the way to think about it, right? Like that's insane. like if you just start a chess stream, you have 100 viewers, and it's like there's no like. Imagine trying to start a stream in the Fortnite category today, right? There's an average of 400,000 broadcasters. like there's, it doesn't matter what you do. You could wear a fucking clown suit. You could be like the best Fortnite player ever. You could like be enlightened and like be like shooting people through the video game. Like it doesn't matter. There's just too much saturation.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
chess was like primed for somebody of authority who could do that magical thing that I talked about earlier, which is like, can you translate this game into a way to show why it's cool for everyone to do it?
Right.
And you managed to do that. Like and what's interesting is like you have this kind of period of discovery, which kind of goes from, I would say, October, November 2018 to like I put it in my notes. There's 2 really, really huge days. Okay, so the first one is March 31st, 2020. And if we go there, on March 31st, you went from like 1,600 to 2,000 viewers, which again, if we use the scale from before, that's still like your top tier S tier streamer, even in those numbers, right?
Right. You said which day?
So March 31st, 2020.
March 31st.
You hit 5,400 viewers. And then you never go down from there. That was impact point 1. And what's really bananas about that particular stream is you had 164,000 unique people come into your broadcast. Which is like, so that means like you were being lit up. That was the XQC collaboration. Was the first XQC collaboration happened right then. And then I think simultaneously there was the Magnus event comes later. We're going to talk about that. That's the second one. So if I pull this, how do I pull this up here?
It's fine. I'm just changing my scene as well.
No, this is the second one. Okay. So on March 31st, you had 67,000 unique viewers come in. This is when I think the XQC collaboration happened, but you did something. So part of just to like to preface this, part of how Twitch streamers become very successful is they leverage. Everyone actually gets an opportunity. You get rated. You get you get like hosted by somebody big. Somebody talks about you. You show up on Reddit. The problem is that most broadcasters don't capitalize on this. So like going forward, they don't like max. Like what you've done though, I'm just like so curious, like what your thought process was behind it, because you actually did like the perfect thing. So when that March 31st thing hit, you immediately uploaded all of those collabs to YouTube. Those YouTube videos have since done 700,000 views, which pushed a massive amount of uniques into your channel that have never been there before. Right. And that was what built the base. Were you conscious of this? Like, were you doing all this? Like, were you like 20 head, like you knew all this, or like how was your thinking happening?
Well, I mean, I think there are a few things. First of all, as much as I'd like to take all the credit for everything that came together, it's sort of between myself and my team. I think the main thing is, really it's trying to be positioned correctly in case such things happen. Now, if you go back to 2018 during this World Championship match, Forsen, XQC, and I think Reckful did play chess on occasion. So there always was this interest in chess, and I was aware of it. But the main thing is that sometime, I don't even think it was March. Maybe, I think it was sometime in 2019. There was this clip of XQC where he watched me. I forget what the clip was, but there's some clip of him where he watched me do like this long analysis, and so he was aware of what I was doing. And then I saw him start playing chess, and once he started playing chess, whether it was him or whether it was someone else, you really want to be positioned correctly so that you can capitalize on that and keep the momentum building. And once I did that collaboration with him, which I think was on April 2nd, was the exact date. It was basically make sure that when you have this content, you put it up as fast as possible, because these are very big influencers, and it will help you grow. Now,
how did you know that?
What's that?
How did you know that?
Well, I didn't know that. My the person who helps me, the main person who helps me with the channel and had the vision is this person called Chessbay94 actually.
Yeah. So I've been emailing back and forth. She's been helping me with stats and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing though is much like, I guess it's like when I look at YouTube or when I look at Twitch, there's me, there's my video editor who we could also say he's the guy who comes up with the thumbnails. Which I think plays a very big role. Yeah, I think this is the clip, I think, right? This looks like, Or no, okay. Anyway,
Oh, what I was looking at? I was looking at your YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I see it now. Yeah, I just saw the XQC. But anyway, the it's basically just try to figure out what makes the best content. Look at the views across the channel. And I think when that XQC video went up, it was one of those things that did very well right away. Now I could give you another example. I think if you are looking at my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Of something that it's a little bit different, but one of the most viewed things on my YouTube channel is what's called 4-player chess. So it's different than collaborations, but it's one of those things where it's not something that I'm crazy about playing. I think you should see it. There should be a recent
I didn't even
one.
know this was a thing. Holy shit, this looks fucking bananas.
Yeah, so there's yeah.
This is like, how do you even do this? What? This is crazy. So does it just go around like it goes clockwise or something?
It's turn-based.
Yeah.
So it starts with, like, let's say I'm blue, I make a move, yellow makes a move, green makes a move, red makes a move, and so forth. And I will be doing this tomorrow again, but actually the thing is that, like, the views are really high on that. So it's one of those things that even if I'm not crazy about, I really feel like it's one of those things that people will be able to relate to. A lot of people will enjoy that content. And so I think more it's like trial and error, all these different things. But in terms of the collaborations, it was one of those things where for a while, XQC had been playing chess in his chat and sort of been trying to get me to do it, or talk between us. And then it actually ended up happening. And so once you have those opportunities, I feel like it's very important to try and do all the things that you feel are right in terms of the process of making the channel grow, whether it's Twitch or whether it's YouTube. And then the other thing, and I think this is a direct result of me playing chess growing up, is that I don't take these things for granted. I think there are certain opportunities where if you have them, you really have to grab a hold of them and not let them go. So once that happened and the viewership started exploding on Twitch, but then also the subs on YouTube started going up, it's one of those things where try to figure out ways to keep the momentum and keep it going, because it's one of those things that it's not going to happen like almost ever, honestly. And so just not taking it for granted and keep building upon the momentum and trying to go from there.
Oh, I love it. This is so good. 100%. A lot of the biggest mistake that I think that Twitch broadcasters make is that they don't leverage YouTube immediately, and they don't understand the power of YouTube, because the way that it shakes out, for every one person that is interested in chess on Twitch, there's 100 of those people on YouTube. That's the literal stat. Right, like that's it comes up to like 98 point something, but it's like that, it's that, right? So when you and then you did something that was or Chessbay did it, you have a very small thing on your YouTube channel that contributes to a huge amount of your growth, and what it is in the first 40 characters, you have watch my live shows on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/GMHikaru, and what that does is if I go to YouTube and I search like GMHikaru and I look at your videos, what'll happen is in the first like what do you call, God, I'm like blanking on it, but there's like a text that shows up that has a certain character limit. And you'll see your Twitch, you'll see Twitch in there. Right?
Oh, okay. That's not me. That's not me, but that's probably Chessbay, or it's just a random.
So I showed it here. So it says Hikaru reacting to XQC reliving a 6-move loss. Right. The only text that shows up here: watch my live shows on Twitch. So that means that even if people don't watch your video, they get the Twitch.tv impression.
Okay, that's probably Chessbay or my editor that they figured it out. Yeah. That's not me though.
So you had but this idea of, I mean, first of all, you built a team in the first place. So that's interesting, right? Like that's already beyond a lot of what even like tier 1 streamers don't like have a team of people that help them with stuff.
Yeah, I guess like this is another thing is I don't know if this applies universally, but this is another, I think one of these life lessons that I've learned from playing chess is that because I'm so good at chess, one of the best in the world, I feel like in many ways I realize what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So like when I started streaming, I sort of was looking at the directory, seeing who are the people who are interested in the game, who are the people who are trying to promote it. And so when I came across somebody who was doing that, I just sort of felt, they know better than I do. I should listen to them, see what they think, and go from there, rather than just like, I'm this great chess player, I can just do everything and I'm a genius. Like, that was never my attitude. It's always like, try to find the people who are interested, the people who know more than I do, and basically sort of like do kind of collaborate and figure out the process for trying to make the game and the channel and my channel bigger.
Ooh, so did you consciously? That's one of the things that I'm kind of wondering is, like, you have this sort of like vibe of your stream. It's like pretty chill music, and like this sort of you understand the language of Twitch. There's no better way to describe this. It's like there's a certain way to like interact with people, and I was wondering how you came across that, like how you so you were saying, did you talk to other broadcasters? Did you watch other broadcasts before you started broadcasting like a lot? Like how did that shake out?
So when you mean a lot, do you mean this latest? You mean like this year, or do you mean like back like 2019?
I don't know enough about your content to know,
Okay.
but back then, but I know like so what I did was I went through top clips, and then I also went through like recent VODs and was like, okay, like I'm looking for, if I look at a streamer and I look at them for like, some amount of minutes or hours, I can tell what they have that gets them connected with their audience. And it's always different, right? Like it might be somebody like Tyler One is like screaming at a mic and that's fucking hilarious as fuck, right? Like
right.
But for you, it's like this like really you've got a certain, it works, right? It fits in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say is in general, maybe it's just my general approach, but I've always felt like I'm not going to try to do, and this is from the very start, and this is me. This is before I even put the team together. It's like, if I'm going to be streaming chess, I want to do it in a very sort of professional way where it's not, there's nothing outrageous about it. It's not sort of too high class, something where people can relate to it. So on the chess end, it's just sort of doing that, but then also trying to figure out what's going to work. Like, is it the music? Is it me? Try to put the jigsaw puzzle pieces together. And I think I've been doing that for a very, very long time now, in terms of just like having the chill music, doing things that I think appeal to everybody, not just say people who are really young or people who are really old, trying to find the balance just on all these different little pieces.
How are you thinking about translating chess as a game over to this audience? Like it's like to me, it is amazing that we can have a themed stream like this where you're now regularly breaking like 10, 15, 20,000 viewers, which is like the top 5 streams, 10 streams on Twitch, right? And you're doing it with chess. Like and like people are watching chess and getting better at chess and also enjoying collaborations and stuff like that. Like how did you think about translating that? It's so cool to me that's possible in our day and age.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was really sort of it wasn't like some master plan. I can't pretend to be some genius.
Really
like that,
though? Like, was it? Are you sure? Like, there must have been. I'm sure it wasn't like overall, but I know you put a lot of thought into doing this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think certainly like no, I mean, I think once the collaborations started happening, I mean, it became a lot easier, obviously. But I think when I look back, what I was really hoping for is I figured I'm a top chess player. I think I'm relatively charismatic. I mean, people can agree or disagree on that. But basically, I was hoping that maybe I could get to like 5,000 viewers. That's what I was really sort of. I thought that was the upper bound. Was maybe if I was lucky, I could get 5,000 people to watch me stream. And I thought if I got that, I would have done a great job both for the channel and the growth, but also for the game of chess. But I think mainly it's just I think it's the mix of everything. I think it's the music, that it's good for people who are young, people who are old, people who are a little bit older. Try bringing the game of chess. I can play sort of really high level chess, where sometimes I actually do ignore my chat a little bit because I'm playing other top ranked players in the world. But then also playing sort of just more casual and fun chess as well. So I think it's having the variety with the game of chess, and then having like sort of just the chill atmosphere that really. I mean, it brings people. There's no master plan. I mean, I can't say that I planned it, but I feel like you look at what works and just keep it going. I mean, I know that's not a great explanation, but something
it's
like
fine.
that.
Yeah, it's the more that I've the more that I've like talked to people that have run broadcasts at this caliber, the more that I've realized, and this happened in esports too. It was really interesting that I get a lot of questions from people that are like, hey, like, how do I become like an esports pro, or how do I become like a successful streamer? That's like the one that I'm getting lately. I get like literally about 2 to 250 emails every week with this question, right? And I've made YouTube videos. I've tried to explain it. It doesn't matter. I just still get them. And I think one of the things that I go back and I think about when I come to competitive gaming, and I didn't realize there was a crossover in this discussion until like I started talking to you. But I think esports has a lot of crossover with competitive chess. That I never met a single person, but my focus was in the LCS, like the League of Legends Championship Series. I never met a single person, not a single one, that had like set out like I'm gonna become a pro LCS player. I'm gonna do it. Like they had all queued the game, played it a shitload, really liked it, and then just kind of like sort of haphazardly, not even like in a focused way, tried to think about getting better. And then after thousands and thousands of hours, they get picked up by a team because they're just that good. And the few people that actually set out to be that good, like the people that actually did focus, they're like, okay, we're gonna like those are like your fakers, those are like your people that are like and like those guys are like the special forces, like Navy SEAL, like LCS players, right? Like they're very rare, right? Like like the people that are, but it's so interesting how a lot of this just seems to come about because like there's just like and this is something that I try to like I try to talk about is like if you have like a passion for something and you really really want to do it and you want to follow it, like all the money, all the other stuff, like that should come later to putting that passion into the world. And particularly when you get to the point where you're at, which I think like your main objective in life, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is like to kind of like translate this love and passion you have for chess and the experience of it to new audiences and to people that can then share that with you, right?
Right, that's definitely true. And I think one thing also that's different about chess, like other games, I've already had a very, very kind of big, long career, you could say. I mean, I've been a professional since I was basically 17 or 18 years old. So I've already been a pro for well over a decade. Whereas I feel like with a lot of the esports games, if you're lucky, it's probably a decade, I'm guessing. But
almost no one's there.
Yeah.
Like the oldest person in the LCS right now, I think is 27, 28. And that's like a geriatric, like that's like a straight up like yeah that's like hello kids, like that's like so old, like 100%.
Yeah, so
whereas with chess, you're saying like you get started at like
right. So I feel like I've already had sort of not like a completely full career. There still are goals that I would like to accomplish, but because I've already had that, it's one of those things where my passion is trying to give back in some way. And I think with the streaming, with basically promoting the game. I just feel very strongly that that's the best thing that I can do as sort of like a way of giving back because the game has given me so much.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good way to say it. Were you behind a lot of the like the PogChamp stuff? I was looking into this a little bit, and a couple of people mentioned that we should talk about this. Was like that apparently this has been like, and I don't know much about it, so but apparently it's like a huge reason why chess has become so prominent on Twitch.
Yeah, so the idea, and this is one of the great things that I love about Twitch, is that this idea was born out of my chat. It was one of these things where I was doing these collaborations, and then at a certain point, people in my chat started suggesting the idea. They're like, well, you're doing these collaborations with all these streamers, why not have an actual event for them? And so because they kept my chat kept mentioning it to me, at a certain point, I basically took the idea to chess.com, and it's like, well, this would be something that's really going to promote chess. And so I mean, it's as much as it is like I'm the one who sort of, I think, got the ball rolling with the actual event happening in the format. It is something that was created by the chat on Twitch and not specifically by me.
So they told you to like run an invitational tournament?
Well, they were saying, well, why don't you have some form of a competition, something? Because I think by the time they mentioned it, I already helped probably 3 or 4 of the streamers. And it's like, well, there are all these people playing chess. I think the category was blowing up. This probably was like, I would say late April, probably like towards the end of April. And because it was blowing up, it's like, well, why don't you do some kind of event where the streamers play each other? And they were like, well, why not have a Twitch rivals for chess, but with streamers, not professional players. And so that's how it came about. Really, they suggested to me, and then I started thinking about possible formats. I took the idea to chess.com, since they have the infrastructure and the platform to run it. And yeah, that's how it came about.
Damn, dude. And, I mean, that I think was a massive catalyst, because so is Twitch helping you guys with this at all? Like, it's not like a Twitch Rivals initiative. You just did this, right?
Well, chess.com is running this part. There will be a one-day Twitch Rivals.
Okay.
It's going to be a team thing in I think it's on July 10th, if I remember correctly. So Twitch is aware of it, and they, I believe, are helping a little bit as well. I'm not directly involved with like running the event, but they are aware and they are involved. Yeah.
Chess.com is on the motherfucker, man. Their director of business development actually emailed me preempting this talk.
And by the way, sorry, let me back up. So Twitch is actually sponsoring the PogChamps, to be clear.
They are.
They are, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did they sponsor was that something that got arranged like right off the bat, or did that have to happen after a few of them happened?
I think that happened right from the start when the idea was brought to them by Chess.com. Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah, they're on it. So the director of business development sent me a bunch of stats about the website. And one of the things that's really, really interesting is just the sheer number of accounts created, right? So like in January, there were 660,000 accounts created or so. I'm rounding.
That sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, I know there were actual like New York Times articles on this as well. So,
yeah. But by May, there was 1.4 million.
Right.
So almost double, or more than double. Yeah. Right. I can't do math. So one of my it's actually one of my weaknesses is I can't do math. I know how dumb that sounds, being an analytics guy.
Right. Well, but
this is one of those things. Yeah. But 1.458. Yeah. Like a million, and that's insane. So all the chess sites are going up as well, and there is an actual corollary category. There was one time that this happened on Twitch, and when I say this, what I mean is like a very old game that then became like super popular, and that's tabletop. So tabletop Dungeons and Dragons kind of faded out of existence for a while, and it was kind of just like whatever, and you just had like super nerds playing it or whatever. Right. I don't know how much you watch the rest of Twitch or whatever.
These days I watch a lot of it, but
okay, yeah. So are you familiar with the Dungeons and Critical Role and
Not specifically. I'm familiar with tabletop, but I'm not familiar with Dungeons and Dragons. That's way back in the old days.
You would think, right? And it was.
Yeah.
But what happened was, so there's this show came along called Critical Role, which is run by a guy named Matt Mercer.
Okay.
And he invited, so Matt Mercer is the voice of It's High Noon on Overwatch. Why can't I think McCree? Okay. And then he invited all of his voice actor friends to run this Dungeons and Dragons show. And it just popped off. I mean, number one in terms of viewership and subscribers on Twitch.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It is. They had, I think, over 30,000 subscribers at one point. Just absurd numbers of
wow.
And what it did was it brought D&D back into the sphere of relevance, and to the point where now PAX has a tabletop PAX. That's just a thing they have, right? and then Dungeons and Dragons exploded all across the website. You had professional DMs is now possible. I know two. We just had an interview with one. Arcadum is a super awesome dude. And I also play with another one named Koibu, who literally make their living streaming games of Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch, right?
Wow.
Which was unheard of. Yeah, it was you could not possibly imagine this.
That is kind of crazy.
Yeah, right. It's it's really nuts, and not only that, but it's the entire category has come alive because somebody got the story right, and in the same way that is now happening for chess in real time. That's the analogy, is that you've got the Botez sisters, you've got all, and then you've got these personalities, you got XQC and Forsen, and all these people that are getting into it.
Right.
And I think it's interesting, and man, you probably okay. So I think that before chess happened, a lot of this kind of a hot take, but I think a lot of these streamers were having content problems. Okay, because like the option was like, well, I can watch YouTube and react to it, or I can like yell at LSF for like 6 hours, or like these are like kind of my options.
Right, yeah, yeah. You mean like the just chatting specifically, right?
Yeah, and so like I feel like there's that out of content meme, but it was kind of true. And what chess did was like it was like, all right, we can fill this gap. Like if
Right.
there's nothing going on, we can play chess for like a couple of hours, or like we can. And it also enabled like a lot of collaborations, but it's like the strands of like just chatting were kind of like breaking apart, and people were like, "Oh, fuck!" And then like that was before the DMCA stuff, so now like everybody wasn't even paranoid yet, and the content was still breaking apart. And then chess was like, it was like the glue. It's like I got you, right? Put it together.
So like, if I understand what you're saying, are you saying that that you think it's here to stay or not? Like to ask questions, you're saying it's the glue that brought it together, but then would that also imply that it's something that's temporary?
No, because I think chess solved the problem. It's like chess was the cement that filled that hole, and I don't think that hole so absent of chess, I don't think there's an answer, because I think that I don't think that most of those streamers can just go back to like whatever they were doing before, which was like kind of like Jump King.
Right,
like
exactly.
LSF reactions, like shit like that. Yeah,
Right,
like that has like only a certain bandwidth for people. The thing with chess is like one of the things that I think a lot of that's like the number one question. Like I remember I was talking a little bit with Alexandra, and she was like what is chess gonna do, right? And like, is chess gonna die? Is it gonna get bigger? What's gonna happen? The thing about chess is that it probably has the best track record of anything else on Twitch as in terms of its survival. Okay, because like when was chess first made?
It's like 20. It's like probably 1000 BC or something crazy. Like,
wait, are you serious?
Yes, chess is like one of the oldest games ever. Like it's ancient.
1000 BC?
I think so. Yeah, it was like invented in India like a gazillion years ago.
Oh my god! I thought it was invented in like the Victorian age or something. Like I didn't know that it was that old.
You know, it's like I'm gonna go Google it. Oh no, maybe not. Okay, no, I'm wrong. It's like 6th century AD. They say it's like that's what they say technically.
Still,
yeah.
Okay, so that is like Ooga Booga, like time of humanity. Okay, so like if chess can survive all of that, it can survive Twitch.
Okay.
What I'm saying is there's something inherent to human nature that allows this game to stand the test of time, and that will translate digitally. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's just the way you said it, called it an Ooga Booga game. Like, just sorry, that's just very funny. Anyway, yeah, go on. Right. Hello. You still there?
Did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm still here. Actually, you don't need to you don't need to share your. Whoops, I lost him. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You don't actually need to share your webcam if you don't want to, because I'm just watching your stream actually with the stats.
So okay. If you don't All right, hang on 1 second. What I was just saying was there's something inherent to the game of chess that allows it to stand the test of time, and this will translate digitally to Twitch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like if we can survive like fucking wars and like plagues and like whatever the hell else happens,
everything's
600
happened,
AD. Yeah, like it's gonna be fine. And it's like the other thing that's really interesting about that particular problem is if we look at so here's how most games go on Twitch. Okay, and I've watched this process happen a bagillion times. Like you get a game like Apex Legends. Everybody will rush in. The numbers and the stats will go absolutely bananas, like thousands of percentage up. Everybody's playing it. You can go on a category on Twitch, and then it is it's just huge. And then it kind of depends on the game. So I'll give you like here. I'm just gonna like Nostradamus it. Here's what's gonna happen for The Last of Us 2. Okay, The Last of Us 2 is going to be a super popular game. It's going to have an average concurrence of about probably 120 to 150,000. That will be the case for about 5 to 6 days. After about a week, it'll start to decline. It'll decline about 40% over the next 3 or 4 days. And then after that, it'll decline hundreds of percentages over the next like 8 to 9 days. So now we're at like the 2 or 3 week point. Right. So that's how a typical game will function on Twitch. The reason for that is like if you just if you translate that out of the numbers, like you've probably already figured it out because you're like 20 moves, but like it's because streamer gets the game, shows off the game, people watch the game, okay, I get it, and then everybody moves on. So that's the typical behavior of a game on Twitch. Chess is different because chess has been building its fundamentals since 2017. The chess category was healthy for the past 3 years. And if you go back and like when we were just talking about chess in 2018, and you go back and you look at the stats for it, it was an extremely healthy growing category during this time. Right. And the thing about chess is that it never really had a period of time where it hasn't been healthy. Even in 2017, at the genesis of the category, the hours watched were pretty healthy. So chess has been built on a certain foundation. And I actually think that chess is going to behave much more like a League of Legends category, like a persistent game that just gradually grows. I don't think that we've seen the peak of chess yet.
Okay.
I think that we are for these reasons, right? A combination of the fact that the game is built on strong fundamentals, and also that it aligns culturally with Twitch in a very, very, like, again, that glue that puts it together, because streamers just don't have fucking content outside of it. Like, there's no better way to explain it.
Right. It's like I've noticed, like, a lot of these streamers, like even some of these other streamers, like not XQC or Force, but some of these other guys, some of these League guys, when they do it, they don't actually lose their viewership that much when they play it versus, say, League, which I thought was always quite interesting, because, like, of course, if I go from chess to some other game, I'm going to lose a lot of viewers, and so I think for a lot of these streamers, the fact they're able to stream chess and keep and sometimes their numbers even go up, or they lose very minimal. I think there is something to that argument.
I don't know why that is, actually. That's really interesting. I never thought about that. So the idea that one of the biggest problems that let's take League of Legends and use that as a particular category, right? Those pros are in, like, purgatory because they can only stream. And there's, like, I would not wish that fate on my worst enemy, to only stream League of Legends. Like, that just sounds like the worst outcome ever. But that's what you could do, and that's like I remember when TFT came out, like, the League of Legends pros are like, oh my god, thank God, holy shit, because they could play a game that they would be able to sustain their viewership on for a while. Right, exactly. Right. It's like, we have 2 games instead of 1. Oh my god, I've been playing this game for 5 years. I hate myself. Like, I feel like League of Legends as a category, if you translate out of that into any other game, you're just hosed. But yeah, for some reason, chess keeps viewership. I actually don't know why that is. I didn't look into that.
Yeah, it's just something I noticed, which I thought was quite curious.
That is really weird. I think it might go back to what you said about chess being kind of ubiquitous as like an introduction to as a kid. So like that explanation that you had before, where it was like, okay, everyone kind of gets exposed to this at a young age.
Right.
It's like herpes. like right, like everyone's familiar with it, everyone kind of knows it, and then so when you set up a system later on that gives the opportunity for people to watch it, they're already into it. I know this. I know this game. I know kind of how it works. Like, I can watch this, right? Like, I can relate to it. And the biggest problem with someone like a League streamer translating their audience over to another game is usually that it's like, oh, I don't know this game. I don't know how to play this. Like, I don't know what this is about.
There's a huge learning curve. Yeah.
So chess eliminates that because I think the exposure is so ubiquitous at a young age, and that's what you identified before. That might be one of the reasons.
Yeah, no, I think that makes the most sense, because I don't know the stats, but there have been stats out there that they say something like probably like 500 million people in the world have been exposed to it. So
Jesus,
when you think of that as a percentage of how many people there are in the entire world, it's a really high percentage.
Another really good game like this is, you ever play Smash?
No, I haven't. I mean, I do watch some of those guys, but yeah. I'm familiar with it, but yeah.
Smash is that type of game too, because like it's one of those games that sort of crosses all barriers of gaming, because you're able to, like, I remember just setting up like a GameCube in the college, and like we just walk by and play Smash, right? At the end of classes and stuff, because that's just like what you do. And in that same way, like chess takes that. I also think that chess has something that nothing else has too, is that it's extremely collaborative, right? Like you could just call up XQC and play a game.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing complicated about it. This is a good point.
Collaboration is enormously powerful on Twitch. in so many ways because do you stream on a schedule? Like, do you stream at the same time every day?
Lately I have. I mean, it's a weird time because there still are competitive chess tournaments, so sometimes I stream at weird hours. But for the most part, yeah, I do tend to stream in like somewhere around like 12 o'clock, roughly until like 8 or 9 generally.
Shit, do you stream 7 days a week? You do, right?
Yeah, I just stream every day. Yeah.
How do you do that?
I mean,
I take 1 day off in 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, what I would say is that for me, I really enjoy playing chess. I love bringing it to people, and I think that actually more than anything is what sustains me. Obviously, like I mean, there's that drug called caffeine that I like a lot too. But
yeah.
But in general, I think it's just like there's so many different things you can do. Like it's not just like I said, the variety for chess. Like I can do that 4-player chess. I can play super serious Blitz Chess matches. I can also play they have some competitive tournaments like once or twice a week as well. And then I can also play against subs, play games with odds where people have more pieces than me. All these different forms of chess that I think really it's just there's a lot of different stuff that I can do with the game of chess.
Do you feel like you can sustain the schedule?
I mean, right now I'm doing fine, so yeah, I see no reason not to.
It's about 50 hours live a week, plus all the competition you do, plus all of the commentary you do, because you're doing some stuff on other people's channels too,
right? Yeah, on the chess.com channel as well.
So it's actually way more than that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that would put you up there with like I think XQC is like a weird like robot human.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. He's at like. Yeah, that's not even a good example. That guy's crazy. Yeah. But it's absolutely like top tier broadcaster, right? Like in terms of hours,
right?
And this really started in like April. But you're still putting in a lot of hours. I feel like even through 2019, that was through a full competitive schedule.
Yeah. So I would say like with this year, like I was well. I mean, obviously. Everyone's had to deal with COVID, but I actually took like a long vacation, like in the first like 2 weeks of March, I think it was. And then once I got back, I just sort of decided I'm just going to stream every day and see where this goes.
What was the thinking on that? Like, why did you decide to?
Well, first of all, there was honestly nothing else to do, but I felt like in 2019 when I streamed, like I really enjoyed it, but it was always broken up. There were always competitions. So like. I mean, since I can see the graph on your stream, so like if you look at 2019, or even like 2018, you can see that I was streaming not every day, but I was streaming pretty frequently, and then it was like towards maybe it was July, August, somewhere in there. There were a ton of tournaments started occurring in 2019, so I just couldn't stream as often, and that of course affected everything from viewership to sub numbers and so forth. And so I just felt like there wasn't much going on. I really wanted to see, because I've always believed. This is also probably just from a lifetime of being in the world of chess, but I've always believed that chess it's everywhere. Like if you watch TV, you'll see ads very frequently with like a chessboard or a clock. You just see it in sitcoms. You just see it everywhere. And I've always believed that chess should be bigger than it is. And so I've always thought like how can I like try to make the game bigger or do it in a way that possibly will bring more people to it? Because as I said, if I watch probably an hour on TV, I guarantee you I'm going to see at least like 1 or 2 ads with a chess commercial or like a chessboard or something that relates to chess. And so I've always believed it should be bigger. And so I felt that I certainly as someone who has played chess a lot and someone who can really bring the game to many people, whether you're at the upper levels or whether you're a beginner, I just wanted to make a go of it.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So I think it's just my attitude has always been that I felt chess is not as big as it should be, and I know even from talking to other people, I did sort of like a podcast with this guy Daryl Morey. He's the general manager of the Houston Rockets, and we discussed a lot of things because he likes chess, but he also likes League, and he was trying to figure out like why is it that chess is not as big as League of Legends, because you have everything in place. It's a very easy game to watch. Almost everybody knows how to play the game at a basic level at least. And why is it that chess has not become why is it not like an esport, or why isn't it bigger in general? And and so that's always kind of intrigued me, and I've tried to do the right things to try and grow it on my channel. And of course, I never expected it to blow up like this. But I think it's just the philosophy that I've had more or less from day one, is just do something to try and promote the game. And I've always believed that it could be bigger than it was.
Why do you think, out of the other broadcasters, that you were like the one that kind of like got to flagship this? Have you thought about that, especially in retrospect of the last like 2 months?
I mean, I think the reason is probably because I have something that's very rare on Twitch, especially, which is that I mean, I'm not Faker. I'm not going to pretend to be the greatest chess player of all time. I'm not. There's someone who is better than me, but I'm at the absolute top of the field. I mean, I am currently ranked number 1 in the world at Blitz Chess. And I feel like in chess you have hard rankings. You don't have like, I don't know, like when you queue up and you play League or you play these other games, it's still somewhat subjective. Whereas in chess, it's flat out like you play, you win or you lose, and you just have a hard ranking. There's nothing random about it. And so I think
it's ELO, right?
What's that?
It's ELO, right? Sorry.
Yeah. So it's just it's ELO, and like you gain or you lose based on how you do. There are no outside factors whatsoever. And so I think the fact that I'm at the very top levels is not something that you will see in almost any other game really. And of course, most other games on Twitch, you don't have. I mean, you have competitions, but I just feel like it's a little bit different somehow. I don't know if that makes sense.
A little bit. The thing that kind of confuses me about it is there have been people on Twitch that represented even very popular games at the top level and didn't get that kind of traction. A good example of this would be like I'd say like Fortnite, or like a lot of like FPSs. Like typically the people that are the most successful broadcasters are very good at the game, but they're not like the number one, or like they wouldn't be in like the top 3. There are some exceptions to this, but usually they're people that are very good, but they're not like world super class, like and the ones that are like world super class are not necessarily like the biggest streamers. So I think there's like an entertainment factor that goes into it. I do think that the rank 1 thing is like really good, but it all and this is maybe something you could tell me about the chess category. Are there a lot of grandmasters that stream?
Not really. I would say, I mean, if I had to guess, there probably aren't more than maybe like 20 if I had to guess.
That stream regularly, or stream in general?
That just stream probably.
How many that stream regularly?
Probably like, how many? So there's myself, there's one other channel. I want to say they're only like probably 3 or 4 that have grandmasters who stream.
Okay, so that could be a big factor, right? And that's what you're saying is like, out of there's a huge amount of interest in audience, and there's really only a very few places to get that. But I also think you have some kind of, and that's why I was asking those questions earlier about like you're thinking about how you set up your stream. I think like that's why I wanted to find out, like, do you have any kind of like active thought process about how you engage your audience? Because I think that there's something there.
I mean, not really. I just kind of try to be me, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I know you're hoping that I have some like this master plan. It's like I do this, but I actually, I mean, I just try to be me and communicate with my chat. There isn't a specific like thing that I do. I mean, and I think also the other thing as well is, I mean, one thing I found is I've always felt that it's much more important to be genuine in terms of, at least with someone like me, because I know, I mean, I can try to act or do things like that, but it's never really resonated well, and it's not something that I like to do anyway. So I've always just tried to be myself as much as I can, and you know, if people like it, they like. There are plenty of people who don't like what I do as well. So, but I just try. I mean, I try to be me, for lack of a better word.
Okay, yeah, it is difficult because like I want to, but it's not something I haven't run into before. Where it's like a lot of times the behaviors and the habits that someone has that make them a very successful content creator are not necessarily conscious, right? They're just sort of like you said, like you're just trying to be authentic to yourself. But you do have this, like, the one thing that I did take away was that you do have this, like, really, really concrete passion to, like, express the game to other people. And I think that feeds into it. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like naive or something, but I've always felt like if you can do something, whether it's something like chess, whether it's a sport, whatever it is, like in some way, like you're especially like, well, whether it's my case or a sport, if you get to the very top at any field, it's a lot of it is luck. Of course, you have to put in a lot of hard work, but there is a lot of luck involved. You play in the right competition, you have the right performance. A lot of little things kind of have to go your way, and I think that's more attributable to luck than just pure hard work. Although hard work helps, and so when you get there, I mean, I've just always felt that you should try to give back, because you're one of the very few, especially in something like chess, where maybe top 30 players in the entire world can make a living from it playing professionally. Just to be in that number, like, I mean, it's insane when you think about how many people there are on this planet. And so so for me, like, the fact that I made it through hard work and through a lot of lucky breaks, I mean, I should try to give back. And I feel no matter what field you're in, that's something that people should try to do.
Work better. Hey. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, can you hear me?
Sorry. I switched the region of our call, so hopefully it helps to switch to a different server, because the US West was, like, screwing up. Where are you located?
I'm in Florida.
Oh, that's why. Okay. That makes sense. All right. So we just went central. It'll be a lot better. Only I caught you said the top 30 monetized only.
Yeah, so I mean, there are many people who make a living as coaches as well. Like, many people can teach chess to children and make a living, but purely as somebody who goes around the world playing in professional competitions, not more than 30 people make a living from that.
How do those 30 monetize generally?
It's just prize money. It's prize money from the competitions. You play these competitions, and the prize funds for some of these competitions can be probably $500,000 or maybe even $750,000 for some of them. Whereas if you're not in those top 30, there still are competitions, but it might be something where a top prize is, say, $10,000 as opposed to, say, $50,000 or $100,000. And then very rarely in chess does somebody win the competition outright. So one thing that's always an issue, I think, with chess and making it, like, mainstream, where someone can watch competition and understand it, is you have draws in the game of chess. So you have a game where it's a tie. Somebody gets half of the 1 point, the other person gets the other half of the 1 point. And so like, if you have a competition and I'll give you a perfect example. So there was this match between the world champion Garry Kasparov and, I believe it was a program called Deep Fritz.
Blue.
Well, no, well, that was much earlier, but in 2000 and in like 2003 or 2004, they had this final game. It was the last game of the match between Kasparov and one of the more advanced computers, and it was actually broadcast on ESPN. So it was on ESPN prime time. I think it was like a Saturday or Sunday evening, maybe like 5 or 6 p.m. And somewhere around like move 20, the game ended in a draw. and so, like, it had this exposure on ESPN, but then this important game, like the one time it made it there, the game was drawn, and everyone's like, well, what's going on? There was no winner. So like that's always been, I think, an issue with making it go mainstream. And yeah, I don't know where I was going exactly with that thought, but basically it's one of those things where, oh right, I was getting back to the prizes.
Talking about monetization. Yeah.
So let's say you play a tournament, the first prize is $10,000, okay? But then there are plenty of people who have games which are ties. What happens then is usually there's going to be a tie for the first prize, so that $10,000 ends up getting chopped up like 3 or 4 ways, if not more. And then when you factor in flying, and then, flying, hotel, everything, very oftentimes you end up breaking even or potentially losing money.
Oh, wow. Because, dude, I just had to ask Hikaru how you got to being $45 million. Okay, just off of chess.
Google, welcome to the wonderful world of Google with their magic numbers.
Because it was very impressive to me that you made that much money off of chess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, if I actually had that much money, I would donate everything on. If I actually had that, I would still probably stream, but I literally would donate everything to charity if I was worth that much, because I still
really,
regardless of like the monetary part of it, I still feel like trying to do something to promote the game that basically made me, I'll always believe that and try to give back.
You know, the problem you run into with having that kind of money and donating to charity is that you get to the point where allocating the resources become really hard. Like this is where like Bill Gates is, right? With the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is like there's so many billions and billions of dollars to allocate that the big problem is like
where it all goes
or how to spend it. Like how do you know that like all the crates that you're dropping off like don't go to some like African warlord, right? Like, like it's a really difficult problem. Like you actually have to devote your life to adequately allocating for philanthropy in a weird way. Yeah.
But I'm not worth that.
No, I know. Yeah, that's just me. That's like, what do you, what do you, but you do have like a lot of Twitch success. Do you intend to like, reinvest this into more chess initiatives? Like, have you thought at all about like what you can do with like, basically a stadium full of people every day? Like,
yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about it too much because, again, to me, it feels, even now after like a month and a half or 2 months, it still feels so new. And maybe it's good or bad, but it's like I said earlier, taking things for granted. Like, I don't really take it for granted. I always, like, every night when I go to bed, like, I half expect to wake up tomorrow and for it to not be there. So there's going to come a point when I start thinking more long-term about things that can be done. But right now I'm still in that stage where I don't really yet believe it. I feel like it could all be gone tomorrow. And so I just feel like I need to always put my head down and keep working and
I think that's
try and do
good.
what I can.
I think that's good. I think you don't seem complacent at all. Like you have like the hunger. I think that's really good. That's going to keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, I guess also because like when I think about chess, there, growing up in a game like chess, I was very talented, but I had to work very hard. There were a lot of people who were more talented than me, but for whatever reason, like they lost the interest and motivation, and they kind of they stopped improving. And because they stopped improving, like I went on to become a grandmaster and a very strong player. But there are many of those people who are far more talented than me, and so I think because of just the background and all the hard work I had to put into chess, I really try to use that, or it's the model. It's sort of how I view things, and so yeah, I basically I just come back every day and just feel like try to do what I can, because I just don't take it for granted at all. And
that consistency, man, that's the ticket. That's the thing. That's what gets you past, even if there's a lot of people that started off better. Oftentimes that can actually be a disadvantage to start off with like a I guess we call it more talent. Because it puts you into complacency faster. You aren't as motivated to like stay on the path. Because I'm so good at it, it doesn't matter.
So yeah, I mean, I think down the road there'll probably be another Pog Champs, and certainly, I mean, it seems like every day there's someone new that I see who's playing chess. For example, maybe it was like 4 days ago I saw Soda Poppin playing.
Oh no way!
Yeah, and again though, this is what I was like coming back to that point about everyone being exposed. Like when I see Soda Poppin play, you don't know what to expect. I mean, I assume he's a total beginner, like he knows nothing about the game, is what I assume. But then like when I watch. When I watch him play, it's like, wait a second, like he actually played some. I think he said it was in high school, but I watch it's like he actually knows some stuff. Like he clearly played it. It's not like he just picked up the game randomly. And I think that's one of the most amazing things with chess is that almost everybody at some point they played it. Some people much more seriously than others. Some people not seriously at all. But they all they had some period where they played it a little bit. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I think was going to make chess hopefully long lasting on Twitch.
Yeah, it should. Do you also have is a lot of your content like teaching those broadcasters and that sort of thing, or are you doing more like what is like the core of your content right now?
Right now, lately, it's been sort of the commentary on the Pog Champs, going over some of the games, and then doing that as well. Before that, I would say that a lot of it was featuring my games. So like I've been playing a couple online chess tournaments professionally, and so I would play the competitions, and I would come on, and then I would sort of stream a review of those games. And then beyond that, also I play a lot of high level Blitz matches, which I've been posting as well.
Dude, those are so back in like 2017, going back to Chess Network stream, I would watch those Blitz matches. They're just so amazing. It's like I think if I played chess, I would have to think a really long time about my moves, because what I'd try to be contemplating is like all the possible moves that can come as a result of that ahead of that. And I have no idea how to compress that into 2 minutes of time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's very difficult. A lot of the streamers, even in the even in this PogChamps event, when they have like 2 minutes, they get really flustered and they make mistakes.
Dude, I'll start potatoing and like freaking rooks will be flying around the area and be like, oh, I gotta move the knight.
Exactly.
It's just so I have no idea how you compress that kind of decision making into such a small window.
Yeah, I think it's just when you've spent so much time just playing the game, you get used to it. But I was also going to add, there's one other thing as well. Like when you talk about content, there's certain other unique things that I think, like, I don't think you can. This applies to any other game. So, are you familiar with Blindfold Chess?
No. What's that?
So that basically
I understand the context.
Right. So it just means like basically like I could like literally you could like put a chessboard in front of you and you're playing a move and I'm just not looking at a board and I'm just saying, okay, I'm gonna play pawn to e4. I'll go knight to I don't know f3 or knight wherever. Maybe it applies to Tetris as well, but it's one of those things where I can play without seeing the board. So like I can like I can put on a blindfold and just see the board in my head.
Hold on. Okay, wait. How do you not like run into other pieces? Like how do you know where the enemy's pieces are?
Well, because someone tells you the move. So let's say I put on a blindfold, okay, and I just say I have somebody who can make moves on the website, right? Okay. So I put a blindfold on. I tell them, okay, play pawn to e4, and then the person I'm playing against, of course, they're sitting at their computer and they can actually see the board, so they'll make a move. And then I have someone who says, well, they played pawn to c5, and I say, okay, knight to f3, and so forth.
Wait, what the fuck? So you can
There's got to be a video on my channel actually, if you want.
You can play a game of chess without looking at the board?
Yes.
And you win?
Yes.
like at a high level?
Yes.
And the other guy's looking at the board.
Yes.
What? Wait. So you're keeping track of every single
piece, yeah. Every single piece that's on the board in my head, yeah.
And their locations.
Yes.
How the fuck do you do that, man? That's insane.
Yeah, I can see the board in my head.
Oh, it's right. It's here. Yeah, I found one. Is this a common ability? Common, probably not. Like grandmasters.
Most grandmasters can do it. Yeah. But I plan to do a special event as well as part of Twitch Rivals at some point where I might play against 8 people at the same time.
This motherfucker is literally putting on like a fucking sock or something, and then he's playing chess in his mind. This is some Lex Luthor shit. I have never seen anything like this. What? So somebody tells you I
have somebody who makes the moves because of course I can't see anything, so I literally can't make a move. But I have someone who I tell the move, and then they play the move on the board, and the other person can see. The other person makes moves as well. Yeah.
You're playing against Alexandra, who in her own right is a master of chess.
Yes.
And you can beat her?
Yes.
Okay, dude. This is ridiculous. This is how many things do you have to keep in your head? I'm trying to think. So there's how many pieces on yours?
There
are
16 pieces for both sides.
Okay, 16 pieces for both sides. So that's I told you I'm bad at math. 32.
32.
Okay, good. I did it. Okay, so there's 32 pieces, and then there's how many possible locations? How many?
There probably are like with the knight. There are 1, 2, 3. There probably are at least like 20 possible moves on every single move.
64 squares total. Chat says.
Yeah.
So, I guess that a lot of the in watching a game like this, a lot of the things stay stationary. Like the rooks, for example, they don't move. So
right.
Yeah. Wait till you find out about. So there's some people that say they play multiple boards at once doing this.
Right. So what I was gonna say is, as part of this PogChamps and Twitch Rivals, I'm probably gonna try to play against 8 people at the same, 8 of the contestants, 8 of the streamers at the same time.
Blindfolded. What? You're gonna play. Okay, so like so the streamer will take their turn. You'll play on that, then you'll move over to the next board, and then you'll play that turn. Then you'll move over to the next turn.
Yeah.
So do you have like an idyllic like do you remember like what happened on like April 17th of like 2017 like and like what color shirt you were wearing?
I mean, generally I don't. There's certain like I wouldn't say that I remember things like that, but what I can do, this isn't like a specific talent, but I very frequently can recall like certain very vivid memories of like, say, somewhere I was. So for example, like if I see certain chess positions, what it will do is it will trigger like I'll be able to remember that I had this position or I played this game against somebody like 25 years ago, for example. Or I'll be able, like, I see some game and then it reminds me of a tournament that I played maybe 15 years ago in France or something like that. So it's not like perfect, but there are certain things that do trigger memory, like sort of memories. I don't know.
I have
I don't know what
so many questions. Did you always have this ability to visualize boards if you closed your eyes, or was this something that you learned over time?
Well, as I started getting better at chess, it was something that I learned how to do. Because if you think about chess, very oftentimes when you're playing the professional competitions, you're trying to basically calculate sequences where your opponent's making moves. So it's like literally you're moving a piece here, they go there, but you're not actually moving the piece on the board. So you're visualizing in your head. Does that make sense?
No. Can you explain another way? It's fucking insane. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like in a given chess position, let's say I play another grandmaster. There probably are like 4 different moves that my opponent will consider, or moves that should be good because they make sense. They fit with where the pawns and the pieces are placed.
Okay.
So I'll think, okay, if I play this move, they're going to respond one of 4 ways. But then what's going to happen is then I'm thinking, well, okay, what's my response to each move? And so in my head, I'm visually moving the pieces when I do the calculations.
But you can't screw anything up because if you even mess up one position, then that position is out of place for the rest of the game.
Well, that's why professional chess is so hard, because very oftentimes if you make a mistake in your calculation, you lose the game. And at the top levels, if you make one mistake, that's just it. It's just too much.
So you're simultaneously also thinking moves ahead to be able to make these calculations while you're visualizing this in your mind.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's a meme, right? Is like I know this is probably going to be like a trigger. There's a meme that's like the average chess master can see a certain number of moves ahead, and like the way that like mere mortals understand it, like me, is like if you see more moves ahead, you're better.
Right. More or less that is correct. Yes.
Okay, that's cool. I don't know how that actually translates, but like, so is there like are you at all inhibited by the number of moves you can see ahead with these sort of like mind palace boards that you're doing?
I mean, like I would not play if I was playing. I would not play at the same level as I do when I can see the board, but I still can play at a grandmaster level. If not higher than that.
Wait, so this is also Blitz Chess, I'm now realizing.
Yeah. So basically what happens is I have someone who's making the moves, and I literally, like, I just tell them bishop takes pawn here. I assume I played bishop takes c5. Yeah, and it's like...
You're like fucking Seraph in the Matrix. Like, you're like the Guardian. like just like that the dude in the martial arts film that's just like sitting there with a blindfold and just takes out like 20 ninjas.
Yeah,
it's actually crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know this existed.
So, this is kind of what I'm saying. There are
thing.
all these different possibilities for content, and that's also why I think chess is... I mean, I think you refer to it as, like, endless content. That's kind of the point. There's so many different things that you can do with the game. It's not always just, like, playing just regular, like, the Blitz games. You can play 4-player chess. You can do occasionally do these blindfold games or blindfold simuls and so forth. So there's just a lot of different content you can do.
I guess because chess is such an old game that there's been all of these ways to like innovate on it, and now with like the digital stuff, there's been like a lot of like digital considerations that you can make.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I mean that's the best part of it, just all these different things.
Are you physically seeing the board? Physically, are you seeing the board in your head?
Yes.
Like almost like a landscape.
I basically I would essentially be seeing the board like you see it here, like just literally I see it like this. And if I'm playing multiple games, what I can do, and I don't know why I can do this necessarily, but I can basically minimize the board. So let's just say I'm playing this game and there's another one. It's literally like I'll see a row of 6 boards and I'll minimize once I make a move, like say I'll be like board 1, okay, I'm gonna play rook takes f7, then it's like minimize board 2 or board 6 or whatever the board numbers are, and then I can just sort of, it's like alt tab, whatever. Yeah.
If you're playing 8 players, do you ever make a mistake? Like we were like, and like, oh, on board 4, I ran a rook into a pawn on an accident or something.
Pretty much never. No, I mean, I might make a blunder in the actual game where I hang a piece, but I won't make an illegal move.
But it's not because you didn't remember.
Right.
It's because of miscalculation.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you could take a person and teach them how to do this?
How to do blindfold chess? I would think that probably could. Now, like, okay, you see the position right now. I think after rook takes pawn, the whole point is that if in my head I can see that if white takes the rook, I move the rook down, I checkmate the king. So like even in this game, like with blindfold, you're not looking as far ahead, but I can still see the pattern of what's going to happen with every move that I make. In terms of teach.
Is she actually being helped by her sister? So you're basically playing against.
I think, yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so you're playing against 2 masters here, blindfolded. Yeah, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. This is like fucking nuts. I don't wait. Why did she resign?
Well, because what she should do is she takes the rook, but then I move my rook down with the check. The king goes up, and then I move the rook into the corner. It's a checkmate because the bishop and the rook support each other.
Oh, okay. So she knew she was hosed.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you can definitely teach it. It's like you have to know the coordinates very well in your head. And then I think if you're above a certain level, you can do it. Now, there's some people I know who got to pretty decent levels at chess, like probably close to, I would say, master even, who could not do this. But most people can, because a lot of getting really good at chess is about pure visualization.
So that implies that visualization is a learned trait. Right. That
correct.
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay. So there are some. Man, this is really interesting because in psychology, which is like where I started, visualization is like a huge indicator of people's success at certain things. Like their ability to visualize outcomes and to physically see themselves in that position. This is going to sound like the secret shit. It's not that, right? It's like.
Well, I mean, isn't this like, is this the same thing? I feel like I remember some Jim Carrey thing where he said something like he envisioned himself with like $10 million or something. And he kept thinking it would happen, like, or something like that. And then eventually it did happen. Of course, is it something along these lines kind of?
So I'm careful with that because we get into like a spooky territory, which is like, let's say that you tape an $100 bill to your ceiling every night and you look at it and you visualize it and you imagine that money coming into your life and like those hundreds of dollars. Like, I don't think that does shit. Okay. I think that's some kind of like spiritual, like woo woo thing.
Okay.
What I'm saying is through the process of visualization, here's a really good analogy. Like, have you ever played this is going to reveal our age. Have you ever played Slug Bug?
No, I haven't.
Okay, Slug Bug, the way the game is played, I'm literally 50 years old, Hikaru. Here we go. Okay, so like Slug Bug, the way the game is played is you look for a certain car. You're in the car with like your brother or something, okay?
Okay.
If you see the car first, you shout Slug Bug and you hit the other guy.
Okay.
And this goes on, okay? The point of the game is that you start seeing this car show up everywhere that you otherwise wouldn't have seen it before. This is because your brain is just trained to look for stimuli that you pointed to, and we've had this since we were cavemen, right? It's that okay. I'm looking for tracks on the
let
ground.
me mention something then. So like,
please.
I recently, I think this is the exact same thing, but I bought a car in like January. I just bought like the Honda, but it was this very specific like shade of blue, and it was a shade of blue that I thought was very pretty. I really didn't see it anywhere, but then once I bought the car, I started like seeing
it everywhere.
I started seeing, yeah. Is that what it is?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
So like what happens is and this goes all the way back to like ancient times, where if you see a set of tracks on the ground, your brain is trained, or that stimuli is, okay, there's food this way, there's animals this way, I need to know that. So your brain has evolved over the course of tens of thousands of years to look for patterns and look for methods of stimuli. And then once it categorizes them, your subconscious will pick that up and then notice all of those particular additional occasions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the same way, once you can use visualization in that way to become very successful, in the sense that you can start to view outcomes, or you can start to see opportunities that are right there. They're presented to you, but you wouldn't have caught them if you hadn't had that kind of focus on them.
Okay. That I mean, it makes sense. It does make sense. Okay.
Yeah, and in this sense, this is like so one of the I have a meme that says CEO Andy meme shit because I try not to bring this up because of this fucking meme, but when I ran companies, or I guess I still run companies, but my previous company is a company called Counterlogic Gaming, and in that company, like once you get to a certain amount of employees, I'd say like above like 100 or so, the only job you have is to sit and think about what the most important problems in your company are, and then to communicate those to your direct reports. So you aren't actually doing any.
It's not like any of the hands-on stuff anymore.
Yeah. Because like you're participating, you're talking to a lot of people. It's a lot of meetings and stuff like that. But you're participating in these exercises in your head. Where I would literally like, I remember I would go to this cafe, and it was like this traditional tea serving place.
Mm-hmm.
And they would take your phone when you walk in, and then I would have a notepad, and I would just think about like, what is the number one problem in my company right now? Okay, it's marketing. We can't get enough people out there. How do we do it? Or it's our store or something like that.
Right.
And you would think through the possible outcomes, and then a lot of times, actually, shit, dude, I actually practiced this for today. I was like, so yesterday, before I went to bed, I worked about an hour or two on this, and I was like, okay, what is the thing that I really like if I talk to Hikaru about anything, what's like the message? What's the really important thing here? And I slept on it. I just let it go. But there's like a portion of the brain that's still thinking about it. And then when I woke up in the morning, that's when it came to me that it's this storyline of like translating people over to this game, the accessibility of chess and the ability for sort of the reason why it's so magic on Twitch is because everybody can get involved with it. And I realized like that was going to be one of the core themes of our talk. And it was, right. That's what I'm talking about in terms of that visualization.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I see that sort of stuff pretty frequently. Like just like certain things I think about, it's like I just dots start connecting randomly like that.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm familiar with.
And so it's really cool that one of the things I wanted to ask you about was like, if you see any of the skills that get learned in chess as being transferable to other things that make people successful in life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the way that I would view chess, I think people who learn it as kids, and I don't think there have been a lot of studies done on this, so it's not something that you can statistically prove per se, but I feel like a lot of the kids that I know who I've helped a little bit over the years, very oftentimes, if they didn't take chess super seriously, let's just say they played in school, but they didn't take it beyond that. Many of them oftentimes end up with very successful careers in business and finance, like doctors, just in a wide variety of things. So, I mean, I can't say that everyone who plays chess is successful, but what I found that's weird is that the people who tend to reach the very upper bounds of it, I feel like, or people who become grandmasters are actually in many ways less successful than people who only sort of learn the basic lessons from the game, if that makes any sense.
Why?
I don't honestly know. I really don't know the reason for that, but I do feel like the lessons that are learned, a lot of people who sort of become international masters or grandmasters, they tend not to use this in other things in real life. And I'm not saying that it makes any sense, but it's just something that I've generally noticed.
That's really cool. Huh. So we already saw that like the visualization thing might be one of them, because I never even knew that was a core component to being a chess player. It sounds like anybody that gets to like a high level needs to have some degree of this skill. Mm-hmm. And like all GMs seem to have it to an insane degree. Like what I was watching on this YouTube video is actually bananas. Because I'm trying to concept. So do you remember these games afterwards for a period of time? Did you go back and?
Yeah, I would say it depends on the relevance. So probably for like a couple of weeks, I'll remember the game perfectly. After that, I won't remember the game perfectly.
For a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So you could say on turn 20. So 2 weeks from now, you could say on turn 27, I did this or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember what I fucking ate for dinner last night. How the fuck do you do that shit? That's actually crazy.
Yeah, and what I would say though beyond
Holy
that is like
shit.
even like probably years later, I won't remember the game, but I will remember some characteristic, like a certain position or a certain move that I did in that game, even many years later.
But does this apply to other? Like, can you tell me what you ate for dinner? Like a week and a half ago?
Week and a half ago, what did I eat? I think I had yeah, I think I had this this 3-bean chili, with what was it with? It was like,
Let's say on Wednesday the 3rd.
Wednesday the 3rd, so that would be 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Not right off, but I could probably give you like 3 possibilities, and it would be one of 3 things for sure.
How about Wednesday the 10th, which would be 7 days ago?
7 days ago, yeah, I definitely could tell you what I had. Yeah, I ordered from Popeyes.
What the fuck? I have no idea. So that's not a either I have Alzheimer's or this is not a normal thing. I'm not sure.
No, I don't
Chat
think it's not
Yeah.
normal. It's not
Yeah.
normal. What I would say is the other thing also though is that as it relates to like learning, what I found at least with myself, and this is something that I think does apply to other really good chess players, is if I have a big interest in something, like I'm really interested in some topic or whatever it may be, I can more or less remember everything. Maybe not perfectly, but pretty close to perfectly. But let's just say it's math or something that I really hate. I can't remember it to save my life. So that's why I can say that I don't have like a photographic memory per se.
You hate math?
Yeah, I don't like math at all.
Do you need to do any math for chess?
No, not at all. No.
That's cool. Yeah, I also hate math, which I know sounds really dumb because people are like, "You're the analytics
Well, but
guy,"
I mean,
but like,
okay, but it's like you
yeah.
like analytics. Like I do like analytics. I like basic math, but like the advanced math, I have no interest in. I don't think for most people it doesn't really matter.
It's
like
not
a real
relevant.
world application.
See, a mathematician would argue that it's like the completely relevant thing. Like it's like the building blocks of the universe, man. Like it's like
Yeah,
you get super technical
is.
with that shit. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you get super technical with it. But like my take on it is like I'm passionate about analytics, and I also love things like financial statements, right? Like to a lot of people would be boring
too,
because of the
yeah.
story because of the story they tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can look at it. So like I don't know when we were doing it before. Oh yeah, so when we were you know the Scuff podcast.
Yeah, train wreck.
Yeah. So like we were trying to find a charity for it because we were doing like for the protests and everything. And I was looking at financial statements and I hadn't looked at them in a long time. And it reminded me of like how much I love looking at financial statements. Because I'm like, holy shit, you can see the whole story of the company on this little sheet, right? It's like here's what they're doing, like here's what they're thinking, and like you could find like, oh, like this company is like doing a lot of like digital content because they're spending a lot of money within the digital space and marketing. And things. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I'm actually the same way. Like, I like that sort of stuff a lot. And one thing also, like, just because I think this relates to Twitch a little bit, is one thing that I do like reading about is I do like reading about like financial companies and companies that basically have been on like the brink of like dying, basically. And then like these turnaround stories, like specifically there was this book I read about Ford in the 2008 crisis when I think Al Mulally became the CEO. And like I read books like that, or I read things on like Elon Musk or all these different people, and I try to figure out like what are they doing differently in terms of being successful. And then like obviously something like Twitch is a much different scale, of course, but like I try to like understand what these people are doing and see if on a much smaller scale I can apply it in some way where like, you know, you get the people around you who are the best, or you try to have certain processes in place to figure out what you're doing right or wrong.
Have you read a book called Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss?
No, I haven't. I do know who Tim Ferriss is, but I have not read that book. No.
You would love this book for this reason.
Okay.
Like what Tools of Titans is it's an amalgamation of so Tim Ferriss set out to do exactly this with all of the most like successful people that he could find. He ended up doing 3 to 4 hour, like I'd say probably over 100 pretty easily. I think maybe over 200 really deep dive podcasts with everybody from like Tony Robbins to like The Rock to like politicians to experts in tennis to Josh Waitzkin, right in chess. And he tried to that was actually where I got the recommendation for the Art of Learning was from Tim.
Right, because he's good friends with Josh. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and so when I read his book, he referred me to that, and I read that book. And so Tools of Titans is like a summary book of all of the consistencies that he has found among those successful people. So it's like, okay, so like if we take a pool of like 300 people and then we control and we diversify those 300 people so that they're not all the same profession or something. Like some of them are elite athletes, some of them are Navy SEALs, some of them are politicians at a high level, some of them are business people at a high level. What
Right.
what consistencies do you find? Right. And this book explores that in like an encyclopedic
Yeah, I would
way.
actually, I would love reading something like that.
You dig this. You dig this, man. Like some of the things that are really interesting are like over 80 to 85% of these people have some form of meditation in their life.
Okay, I've tried that, but that does not do it for me. I've done it
It's
before.
hard. Yeah. Oh, you can still easily be part of the 15%.
Right. Yeah. They're still successful.
They read books. Right? They read books. That's like a really big one. They have some form of exercise in their life.
Right.
There's just like, and then so like you can read a book like this and you can be like, oh, okay, if I just do all that shit,
then you'll be successful. Yeah. That's not necessarily how it works.
Yeah, unless the stats just play against me in like such a, because like life is people think that life is like a game of there's a lot of luck in life, and you had mentioned that before, and like you can think about the luck, but there's also a forced culture in luck. By which I mean that like if you play the percentages to such an extent that you maximize everything, like well, let's take like heart disease for example. Okay, like heart disease I think is the #1 killer of people in America.
Right.
Pretty sure that's right. Check and correct me if I'm wrong. It might be car accidents. So I'm pretty sure heart disease is like definitely top 3. And you might get heart disease just because you just roll the dice. Your genetics are bad. That's it. You got it. But you can also do things in your life to lower the percentage chance of heart disease by cutting out sugar, going on really good diet, exercising regularly, improving your cardiovascular system, lowering your stress levels, sleeping consistently, right? Where you will lower that chance to almost infinitesimal, like compared to what it would be.
Just chance, yeah.
And that's where behavior matters. Is like you can't exactly move the die in terms of the variable, but you can absolutely maximize your chances so that success finds you.
Yeah, and I feel like with Twitch, that's what I've tried to do in general, is just try to be in that spot, do all the little things right, and then, if there are opportunities like what happened with the collaboration with XQC, then just make sure you're positioned so that if that random thing does happen, you can make the most of it.
Exactly. And you jump on it. You stream for 12 hours, you do the YouTube stuff, you make sure that stuff gets up there, you maximize the exposure. Like I can't tell you how many times I've seen broadcasters get in a position where like they get rated by someone like Ninja or Shroud, or like this is their moment. And then it's like they do the same thing that they did before. 30 minutes later, they're like, okay, guys, I'm getting offline. Thanks a lot. Like, right? It's like that preparation, that mentality, and that change. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
huge.
true. Yeah.
That's everything. It's everything, man. Like if you get, yeah, that's so cool. So it's like you can have that mindset on it, but then you don't have to be deliberate about like your show prep or your content. Like you were saying before, how you're not really sure like how I guess like your personality translates because you're just trying to be authentic.
Right.
So
exactly,
it's the work you're doing outside of that to look for those little opportunities.
Right. And that's what I generally try to do, is just like, at least it's like, just make sure you're positioned in case that happens. You never expect it to, but if it does, then you just try to, just take advantage of it.
I love it, dude. This is everything I've hoped for and more.
That's great.
It's really cool. Do you have any questions about the world of Twitch analytics or chess or anything like, are there anything that you're particularly wondering about?
Not right off, I don't think. It's just like with YouTube, if you think there are any things that I'm perhaps not doing, like there are other ways. Oh, right. What is actually, I do have a question. What is the click-through rate on YouTube?
The click-through rate is 4.3%.
Right, but I think you said something that it's actually not very good or something on my channel. So I was kind of curious about that.
That is right. It isn't. So the average click-through rate on YouTube is around 5 to 6%. A good click-through rate. So actually, let's define click-through rate first. So this is because there's probably a lot of people listening. When we're referring to click-through rate, we're referring to, let's say you get presented with a Hikaru video. Generally, the way that you're going to do this is through your recommended feed. So if I'm watching a video, I'll just click on a random video. On the top right-hand side is going to be another Hikaru video. So YouTube is deciding right now that Hikaru reacts to chess videos re-upload is going to be the video that I want to watch. It's doing this because of a combination of relevance and the algorithm. Suffice to say that YouTube is the most sophisticated non-military machine learning in the world.
Okay.
It's the best algorithm that we have as civilians. YouTube and Google as a whole, right? Like the search engine and everything. So YouTube is recommending me something based on my actual, like, it's gonna sound weird, but it's like its perception of my personality,
Right.
But which is actually fairly sophisticated if you break it down, and also my viewing habits before, my watch time, on and on and on. Okay, it's a bunch of
Right.
bullshit.
Right.
So,
No, it makes sense though. No, I get it though. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just important to preface to install to get the click through. So click through rate means out of 100 people, how many people click on the video as a result of it being impressed upon them. An impression being you see it somewhere on your screen. In this case, it's revealed on the top right. That would be, so I'm now impressed. There's an impression has been made upon me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one impression. So out of 100 impressions, the number of people that click through to your video and start watching it is your CTR.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense.
So
yeah.
4.3% CTR means that 3 people have clicked on it out of 100 people that viewed it.
Right. So if that's not good, then is there any way to improve that, or is that just like?
Yes, there is. So the fascinating thing about so I'd say that click-through rate is so important that I can tell you how well a video is going to do. If I look at the click-through rate in the first 3 to 6 hours, I can tell you exactly where that video is going in terms of view count.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason for that is basically there's 2 things that go into click-through rate. There is thumbnail and title. So if we're talking about click-through rate, we're talking exclusively about those 2 things. I think if I was to look at this and improve, now it's kind of like prefacing that, like, your YouTube channel is already incredible, and also the growth of it over time has been like astronomical, right? So it's like just keeping in mind that any advice that I'm giving is like kind of tongue in cheek to the fact that you're already like fucking slain. Okay. Like there's already like a lot of So but even really great systems can be improved, right? I would say it's to think about the titling, because the thumbnails are pretty good. So I've thought for hundreds of hours about titles, and I've consulted a ton of like people with multi-million number subscribers. And what I've found is if you go to titles, like one of the people on YouTube who has titling to like a level of mastery that I've never seen before is a guy named Logan Paul.
Yeah, I know who he is,
yeah, so he's not a very depending on who you talk to, he's not a very popular figure.
Right.
But his marketing is undeniable. It's incredible. So Logan Paul uses titles that are the one that he uploaded 4 hours ago, which already has 1.2 million views, is probably a great example of this. The best moment of my life. That's the whole title. Right?
Okay.
So the purpose of this title is to beg a question. Well, what is the best moment of his life? Right. And it's also to present it's to start a story. So every one of his videos is this, right? He's moving out. Who's moving out? Why are they moving out? Right?
Okay.
What's like, protecting my girlfriend from what?
Right.
You see what I mean? Like, yeah. So every one of these things is like this. So in the same way, I started a YouTube channel pretty recently, and I've tried to start with this titling, and I've experimented with a lot of different stuff. And so I had these like really, really long titles when I started, like this Amazon's executives' top success strategies, right? Like, and the problem with these titles is that there's just too much to take in. And if you look at like the most recent, chess is taking over Twitch.
Right.
Well, how come? Well, what's that about, right? And then there's like, and then you like another thing. This doesn't apply to you, which is really interesting actually. But if you go back to all of my old videos, I always use my face on them, and then I realized like, wait, well, nobody gives a fuck about me, right? Right? So I'm gonna use people that people can recognize. Like, so our drops ruining Twitch. This is a 140K view video, right? This is coming from this is Dr. Disrespect, because like that's a very
right,
like
right,
iconic
exactly,
name.
yeah.
So the trick that I think is happening on your YouTube is you get a pass because you're Hikaru. So you're a very knowable face.
Okay.
But the problem, but that's also your crutch, because what your outcome of this YouTube channel should be, if no one has ever heard of GMHikaru before, why should they care?
Okay.
So you have a lot of views on your videos, but your CTR is low, and what that tells me is that a lot of the people that are viewing your videos are already fans.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So the problem there is that, and this is due exclusively to the way that you're doing your titling and the way that you're doing your thumbnails. So your thumbnails are let's take like Magnus Carlsen on PogChamps ... Hikaru equip reactions. Okay. So breaking down this title, there's a lot of people that know the name Magnus Carlsen.
Right.
But you still need to know the name to identify with this video.
Right. True.
Right.
Yeah.
Same with PogChamps. Need to know what that is. Like there needs to, and then Hikaru equip reactions is, okay, I need to care about Hikaru before I invest myself in this video. So let's change the name of this to this is totally arbitrary. I obviously have to work on this title in my head a lot more, but like craziest reaction to #1 chess player, right?
Right.
So now what you've done is you've evened the playing field to a much more generalized sense, and you've made that accessible to every single person that understands chess.
Right. No, it makes sense.
That's the game that you have to play here. All of the titles that you have, and a lot of the thumbnails are predisposing an enormous amount of, I think, prior knowledge that has to be had.
Right. You have to know something about chess or something about me in the first place,
or something about Twitch. And a big mistake that people make when they start streaming and then they translate over to YouTube is they think that YouTubers understand inherently what Twitch is, but a shitload of people that consume YouTube do not know that.
Okay. Makes sense.
Because as hard as this is to imagine, Twitch is actually a pretty niche website. Like all things considered, right? So and I'll give you an example of this, like just literal stats. There is about 14, 15, we'll call it a little bit more. Let's say it's 16 million people per day that visit Twitch as a whole. So that's chess category, that's just chatting, that's all video games. Yeah. On YouTube gaming alone, okay? For just the gaming section of YouTube, it's 200 million.
Wow, okay. Yeah. Much different.
Yeah. So there are so many more people that are endemic to YouTube than there are to Twitch. So if you cater your videos to those people, you can you're already doing because most of the time when I work with someone, I have to start with shit like, okay, put your fucking Twitch title in your description, like here we go, okay, like, but ChessBay's already got that shit on lockdown, right? So like so what you have to do to up that CTR is you've got to work on the titles to make them more general, and the same thing for the thumbnails, and then your CTR should go up to about, because your content's great, and I mean that legitimately, because like, if I have to start with someone, I would much rather start with them from this position than I would, oh shit, your content is bad.
Right.
We have to work on, because that's a shit show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, that's a problem you can't solve easily.
Or sometimes you can't solve it at all.
Right. Also true. Yeah. Right.
So you've already got that on lockdown. So now you're just in the game of technicality, culture of YouTube. How do I make this? Because I think your CTR jumps to about 8 to 12% with these changes right away.
Wow. Okay.
And the way that translates is every one of your video has 1 to 1.2 million views instead of 100,000 to 400,000.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think, and to be like, for a little bit of, I think that is entirely possible to do within the next month.
Okay. Okay.
With these changes.
All right. I'll have to keep that in mind and yeah, see what I can do. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think that would be the number one thing. Sometimes I recommend that people branch out to like other platforms. Like in this case, like I don't like when I talk to Pokey, my like number one advice was like, why are you not utilizing TikTok to like a huge degree, right? And like that doesn't like apply to, like you doing TikTok dances. Like I don't think it's gonna move the needle.
right, of course, yeah.
So for you, it's more honestly, it's like doing the same thing you did on Twitch but on YouTube. In that, how do you make this game and this passion of yours accessible to the widest audience?
Right.
And when you start thinking like that, I think you're going to start coming up with some really, not only some really cool, because like the blindfolded like, oh my god, like that blindfolded chess shit should have 1 million views. I don't care if you even don't know what a pawn is. I looked at that and I was like, what the fuck? This is like some Xavier shit.
Yeah. No,
like,
I get it. Yeah. It's like mental,
you're literally straight up like in the cerebrum or whatever the fuck.
Right. Yeah, cerebrum. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, it's such good content, man. So it's like, so what if we did a video title like, Grandmaster, Chess Grandmaster beats 4 masters in 3 minutes blindfolded, right? Like, holy shit, right? Like that would be fucking insane.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that would be right. So it's mainly the titles then that I have to work on. Okay.
And we could talk a little bit about the thumbnails if you want to. Because I think that's the same thing. I think using recognizable people is good.
Right.
Like, so you've got some with like Skara in here and
like Ludwig or Soda Poppin and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the difference is that so when you're designing thumbnails, you have to think of the design from the size that the person is going to see the thumbnail from.
Okay.
So, for example, on this thumbnail with Skara, it's a little bit hard because there's so much going on in this thumbnail for me to see that that's Skara.
Okay.
Initially. Whereas if you look at the Chess is taking over Twitch video of the same size, I've got there's just a big ass Hikaru face there with a big smile, and then Magnus looking pissed because he always looks pissed, and then like 3 chess pieces. There's not a lot going on.
Right. It's true. Yeah. Okay. So it's with the recognizable people, make sure that it's clear at this size specifically.
I think if there's one thing that I could like very simply put about thumbnails, less is more.
Okay.
Less is always more. Less characters, less themes. We had some thumbnails where we like crammed so much shit into them. So Chess Bay is asking me, Devin, do you like this blindfolded chess versus the mountain? So I don't like that title, and the reason is because again, the knowledge that you have to have is why should I care that this Hikaru guy is blindfolded, right? I don't know him. He's like, or maybe I've heard of him once or twice, right? Like he's some kind of like chess guy. He's probably pretty good. He's like blindfolded. Is that important, right? Let's take this title like, strongest man in the world versus best chess player in the world. Even if that's just the title and you don't describe anything else, fucking incredible, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, because you're already like, wait, what the fuck is this about, right? And then we just move from there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. The strongest guy in the world versus the smartest guy in the world. Right. This is another trick that Logan Paul uses, and this is something that like you have to kind of use sparingly because this can be used for evil. But like Logan Paul did this charity event for YouTube for a race, and the race was, I think, I don't know what it was. Somebody check into it. It's like 50 YouTubers. They all get on a track and they run, and the fastest person wins. I think it's $100,000. Okay. So Logan Paul goes around and he tells everybody, "I am the fastest person on Earth." and he's so confident, right? And like what this does is it polarizes audiences. So there's going to be his fans that are like, yeah, and then there's going to be people like, well, actually, it's Hussein Bolt. He ran way faster than anyone. Like you're going to get that kind of polarization, and what they don't realize is that Logan Paul has them in his spider's web, right? Like, so if you say something in your YouTube title, and like again, I'm just like giving you the principle, and then you can decide like how evil you want to or how much you want to utilize it. If you say something like smartest man in the world, right, versus the strongest man in the world, you're going to get that polarization where people are like, well, Hikaru says he's the smartest guy in the world. Actually, it's Stephen Hawking with 300 IQ, and he's thinking about black hole. Like you're going to get that attention, and all that attention is good.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of the way that algorithms work in this day and age, we are driven towards things that have emotional reactions or attention.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. Right.
So polarizing is good, positive or negative.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a question of how much you want to use it. And when you think about all of the popular broadcasters, when you think about LSF, Reddit, Twitch, YouTube, it's always what rises to the top are always these like if you have like a take like, yeah, chess is kind of cool. I can kind of see the positive and negatives. It's kind of a cool game. I kind of like, how like nobody cares, right?
Right.
You have to take a position like chess is taking over Twitch. What like, oh shit, why?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Is this helpful?
Yeah, no, it's very helpful. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to think. It's a lot of information to digest, so I'll have to think about it. But yeah, it makes sense. Like, I mean, in terms of how far to push it or not push it, I mean, I'll have to think. But yeah, it does make a lot of sense. Yeah,
that's the game because you can go full Sith with this really easy. Right, because and there are people that do. So one of the things that drives me crazy about this is there are these things that happen on Twitch, every 3 to 6 months, that like you can predict like that the train is never late. Okay. One of them is random female streamer yelling about how her subscribers aren't giving her enough money. Okay. Every 6 months, we're going to have this on the top of LSF, and there's nothing I can do to change this timeline.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's just going to happen over and over and over. And over. It's Groundhog Day. Over and over again. Right. It's because of the way that takes like that polarize people to make these reactions.
Right, exactly. No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I have to figure out how far to go with some of these things, but certainly, yeah, it's very helpful, though. Makes a lot of sense.
Well, it goes back, yeah, because those girls are doing that intentionally. Right. So that's what I mean. Is like you can do this, like you could be a Sith Lord and be like, the #1 chess player in the world, undisputed, smartest brain, beats little man. Right.
Yeah.
People will be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but like you could, but it's like my job is to teach you the principle.
Right. And then, figure out how to implement it. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. It's been really helpful.
I'm glad because when we started this talk, I had no idea how I was going to add something of value.
That's great though. Yeah, I have to figure out like what things to implement, not implement, but certainly, yeah, that's very, very insightful. So I appreciate it.
I could have a conversation with ChessBay too about the YouTube and like kind of like help the team with this too, because ChessBay is like legit.
Yeah, she's done a lot for my channel in the chess category in general. I mean, that was the other thing that I was gonna add as well is I think when you did your video on chess, you mentioned how it started in 2017. She was one of the first people who actually was supporting the chess category in those days. Like that's around the time that she got on Twitch. So she's been there since the start. In many ways.
Okay. So ChessBay has been here since like the beginning.
Since 2017, yeah.
That's okay. That makes sense. Yeah. When she sent me a lot of the stats, like I know she spends a lot of time thinking about this stuff.
Right.
But what's really cool is that it's important also that you understand this concept because you can actually kind of curve your content towards making it easier to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, exactly. No, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's where to start.
Yeah.
As successful as you have become, I think that you're not at the peak of your channel if you do this. I think that like 35 to 40,000 concurrent viewers is realistic for you if you master YouTube.
Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah, that's I'll have to think about all this and figure out what to do, not do. But certainly, yeah, this has been very insightful. So I appreciate it.
Oh, dude. Yeah, of course. It's an honor to talk to you. Someone that has reached your level of mastery, both in life and in something like chess. It's really exciting to talk to you.
Likewise, no, I appreciate all the help, and this has been great talking to you, and just learned a lot. And
Hell yeah, man.
I hope that the people watching on your channel as well, they've learned a lot about chess and everything that's going on. So it's been great.
Absolutely. Man. So you're gonna go do a XQC reacts, I think.
I was going to do some commentary on XQC's game today because he won his match, and I was going to go do that. Yeah. And then of course PogChamps keeps going on, and then I'll probably do this blindfold event in about a week or so, and just keep keep churning out the content.
I love the work ethic, man. Keep it up. That hunger you have, dude. That just like that ability to keep going, man. Like it's admirable. Oh. It's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And if there's ever anything I can do for you, if you're ever like looking for some, like we have a whole research team that like that goes over stuff. Like ever anything that you need, like you have a question about Twitch or anything like that, hit me up. Maybe sometime we'll talk in like a couple months or something, see how the channel's doing, and like talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great, man. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah, dude. This was awesome. Thanks, man.
All right.